Reawakening. In life, we often have a choice. Do we skate along the surface of our beings, or do we do a deep dive to learn about and work to improve our truest selves, no matter how painful? Welcome to Reawakening. I'm your host, Chris Mann. Join me as I join our dream interpreter, Yvonne Cones, as she looks at a friend's dream that explores this very question. This dream was the first in a series of dreams that Yvonne's friend had along these lines. Next month, we'll dive into what came next. But listen in now for the beginning of this dreamer's quest for self-discovery.
Happy New Year, Yvonne. How are you?
Happy New Year, Chris. I'm doing well, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, have you had a chance to go back and look through any of your files for any more dreams from the Yvonne book?
Yes, of course. Well, I picked out a book. I have a lot of dream journals that I write my dreams, other people's dreams in.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this particular dream, which has always been one I've remembered, from a dreamer that I've known for many, many years. And this dream is from 1994. So that's kind of really going back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quarter century.
Yes. So I've got a lot of different dreams from this woman, and I've known her for a long time. And this is the dream. She's standing on a platform by a dock, by the ocean, and a diver there said, "Aren't you going to dive in with us?" And she said, "No." So he dived in. And then a ladder appears, and it's attached to a sailboat type of vehicle, is what she called it. And she found herself on it. And the platform that was attached to the back of this sailboat, which was a very strange kind of thing, but never mind, this had just sunk beneath the waves. So she's standing on a platform, a bit like a skier attached to the sailboat. And this platform, I don't think there was anything like ropes or anything. It was just part of the back of the sailboat. She's standing on it, and off it goes, all right? And it's only powered by the wind, but it seems to be going very fast. And she is not in control. It steers itself. It goes wherever it wants. And she's okay. She's on the back. She's not falling off or anything. And then she says, it raced between ships and other skiers. And other people seem to have appeared and landed on this platform with her. She didn't say who they were or anything. But then suddenly, they're not on the platform anymore. They're on a street in a very festive and colorful resort town. She said it was a wonderful dream, and when she woke, she felt very good.
Okay.
So she told me this dream, and I'm thinking this is a very odd thing for her to dream, because I knew that she was an ardent diver, that she had done the courses in scuba diving and was certified, and I think she could even teach it. But in this dream, she's not diving, she's skating along on the top of the ocean, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So she had a series of dreams after this, Chris, which we're not going to at this time, following night after that and so on, which she talked to me about. And they were more negative. They were more about bringing back memories of abusive situations in her past with her ex-husbands and even a relative when she was little. Really nasty stuff. And her subconscious is obviously churning stuff up here, wanting her to, well, what a subconscious does is wants you to deal with it. That's what usually happens. So anyway, the first dream, let's see what I wrote about this. So the first shows when she refused to dive in to the water, that her subconscious is saying, you're preferring the excitement of being ricocheted here and there, blown by whatever life sends you,
right,
rather than diving deeply and exploring the depths. And this, remember, this thing was whizzing all over the place. It was erratic and very fast, and she had no time for exploring anything else.
And you've always said the sea or water is life, right? So
yes, that's right.
Looking diving into her own life is what this seems to be saying.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. And, well, that is a universal symbol. that everybody has. We all know, and it doesn't have to be the ocean. It can be a lake, a river, a stream. It can be a lot of things. But water represents how life is for you at that time. So if you jump in a small puddle, it means, you're jumping into a very narrow, restrictive type of life, but you're jumping into it still.
Right.
It depends what's going on in your life. If you're sinking underneath the waves, life is overwhelming you.
Yeah.
We don't want to have that either.
Right.
So she has no time for exploring the depths, friends, family, what was going on, other aspects of her life,
Sure.
And that skimming along on the surface was preventing her from dealing with some issues that she had. I've written she preferred to be happy on the surface, enjoying the holiday aspect of life, to the more dangerous one of diving into her own subconscious. Now, at this time, she was considering a vacation diving. In fact, she did go to Belize and had a couple of weeks there with a group, and they dived and had a wonderful time. One of the things that I know about her, and which is kind of interesting, because I've known her all these years, is that not long after that, she went to live in Key West, which is a very festive resort town.
Right.
She was there about a year. She took a job as a waitress, which was way below her abilities. But she just wanted something that would bring in some money without thinking too much about it. She'd work in the afternoons or on the evenings or whatever and enjoy walking along the beach and enjoying, Key West. But it didn't work out very well because when you're not in control, you find yourself, let's face it, if you just let the wind blow you wherever it wants, eventually you're going to hit something, whether it's a tree, a car, or whatever. So that's what happened. She ricocheted from one disaster to another with relationships and other things. Eventually, I would say it took 15, 17, 18 years before she started to settle down a bit and look at things. And now she's in her 70s. And she settled near one of her sons, and she's had a lot of health problems. You see, that makes you focus on yourself. You really have to sort of take care of yourself then. But this was a dream that was unusual for me because usually, Chris, when you dream a happy dream, that's a good thing.
Right.
But because she relayed this to me and I knew her, I thought it was very odd that she refused to go diving and instead went skiing along without any kind of sense of control over it in the dream. And that was exactly how she was living her life. She was just skating along.
Just skating along. So, were there other dreams around this time that helped put that dream in context as
Absolutely.
well?
Absolutely. Okay. She gave me a series of dreams, and they're too long to discuss in one program, and perhaps we could do that another time.
Yeah.
The second one that she had, I'm going through my book here. The first one was in September, and she had the next dream was the next night.
Oh.
And it was it was about people in her past, ex-husbands, people that had abused her. She was lots of aggression with them, and one was particularly nasty. She could have died. He beat her up so much. Yeah, she kind of tended to pick wrong mates. And then that particular one, she had to escape and hide herself. We went to live with some other people and, trying to dropped out of sight so he couldn't find her. That was all coming through in the dream that she had the next night. So it was like saying, okay, so this is what you're doing at the moment. You're skating along.
Yeah.
But remember what happened before when you skated along? You ended up in this terrible relationship and you had to flee, to get away from it. So, yes, and she had another dream a bit later on after that on the same lines. And she had her mother came to her. And it was a pretty horrible dream. It was about a hypocritical preacher talking about hell. And we'll do that another time. But it was kind of like her subconscious really giving her 3 lessons coming up. Here's the first one.
Right.
You're just letting things happen and enjoying life, but, this is like no control at all. We can enjoy life and still control things. But here you're letting things, you're picking the wrong people to live with, what jobs you're doing. You're not focusing on what you're supposed to be doing. Very creative woman. Could have been a designer. She was so good with decorating her homes and so on. She was brilliant at that. She was also very good at managerial positions that she worked at. So, she was like neglecting her abilities. That's basically what it was.
Well, taking deep dives or inventories of our life and really going to the root of things, to the depths, can be painful. A lot of people don't want to dredge up old stuff, but if you keep having these patterns in life of just sort of floating around and going where the wind takes you, I feel like maybe you're missing out on your purpose and having an opportunity to kind of co-create and be a co-pilot of your own life, at least, to maybe chart some more meaningful territory. So it sounds like maybe her subconscious was giving her some hints, but she wasn't ready for that kind of introspection, it sounds.
Exactly. And she's a very psychic person. I mean, these dreams are also a bit of a clue to that. But she wasn't paying attention to it. And so the dreams got darker and started to show her, what happened when you, sometimes when you're young, you have no control over your life. Your parents deal with things, and so on, and you have to just take it. But as you get older, you start thinking, I'm going to change the way I live.
Right.
I've learned a lot. And then you go on. But in her case, I could say she did ricochet from one bad relationship to another, and that's what happened. The dream said, this is what happens, but not going to work out, because the next dream she had was a very big clue as to what she needed to deal with, and not. As a matter of fact, she did enter onto another bad relationship around that time. So,
oh boy.
Yeah. What we're trying to say to her, what you're thinking of doing is not a good idea.
I'd love to explore another one of her dreams in the future, because, a lot of times we get these clues, but we keep doing what's easy or fun or comfortable. And,
or ignore it, yes.
And ignore it, exactly. And so sometimes examining a couple of dreams, even if it's across episodes, gives us all a little bit of an understanding of how maybe something that just seems light and airy, like this dream you described today, is really kind of, you got to put it in a context of something else to see what this whole thing of refusing to dive, and she's a diver, that might not seem on the surface, so to speak, to be anything huge, but you're looking at it in a certain context, and it's very revealing.
Yes.
Let's revisit her. Let's do.
Okay. Yeah, she's a very good subject to do that, because she had a lot of dreams, all of them with a very strong message. She's a strong character, but, it's like the ricocheting bullet. You don't quite sure where it's going to end up.
Right, right. There's a difference between going with the flow in life and then abandoning maybe your deeper self and just going on a wild ride all the time. I think that's...
Yeah, you want to be happy. You want to be fulfilled. That's what life should give you. You should find something that is creative, fulfilling, satisfying, whatever it is. And some people, that's having children.
Right.
And some people, it's creating works of art. It just depends on the person.
Well, I'd love to hear more about her journey, and next time we can talk, too, a bit about where she ended up. And
yes, absolutely.
Let's revisit her, for sure, Yvonne.
Okay, we'll do that, Chris.
Okay, terrific. Well, it's great to talk to you, and you keep us rooted, Yvonne. You keep us rooted in reality here. Thank you.
Well, that's what we all have to do, hopefully. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Take care.
Okay, dear. Take care. Bye-bye.
Reawakening with Chris Mann and Yvonne Cones is a Rising Action media production, copyright 2020 by Chris Mann.